All right. Hi, everybody, and welcome to SalesIntel's second series of podcast Pipeline Pioneers, where our goal is to learn from the practitioners, from the experts as to how to build the best pipeline, a pipeline that ultimately converts into revenue. As we know, pipeline is the life and blood of any organization, and it truly takes a village to come together to build a pipeline. Today, I am excited to have Alex Grace for the second time on my series here on the podcast. Alex, welcome to the pod, man.
Yeah, it was so good. I decided to come back and do it again.
Thank you. We appreciate it. So, Alex, to kick things off, why don't you tell the audience about you, your new role since the time you came on our first series, and how in your role do you help impact the pipeline?
Yeah. Absolutely. So again, Alex Grace. I've been in sales leadership now for it seems like a long time, 20 years or more. In my new role, I am overseeing revenue for a company called Arta. We do basically logistics technology for like high value objects, art, luxury goods, etc. So making it as easy to ship a $10 million Monet as it is to ship a $10 t-shirt. Is kind of what we're looking to do. And so I've been here about 7 months and have learned a lot, which I think will help with a lot of the questions that you have coming my way. But we've generally where I start in businesses is come in and they've had early sales success, or they've had sales success and looking for somebody to come in and figure out what are the things that are going well, what's not, and how do we do more of the things that are going well and less of the things that aren't. Sounds simple, but it tends to be more complex in its operation. But I've built pipelines in multiple spaces, the e-commerce space, food tech, health tech, martech, and so I've kind of seen a lot. The thing that I've learned along the way is that sales is pretty similar regardless of industry. I see the same 5 problems that have the same 5 solutions. They present in different ways, and there's some intricacies within the solutions, but generally speaking, it's one of 5 problems. And so, having been in a bunch of different industries, everyone says, "Oh, this industry is different. It acts different. It does this different." And generally, the people that tell you that are people who haven't been in other industries.
Yeah.
It is all pretty similar.
It's a similar problem. So, tell me about when you got there 7 months ago. Did the company had their ICP well defined, or you had to come in and refine it? And if so, what tools did you use? What was your process of defining or refining, in this case, the ICP?
It's almost like the problem was made perfectly for this podcast. So when I got there, I had a very unique problem, which was the ICP was over-defined. So when I got there, our TAM that we were going after was 130 something companies, which is too small. And so, the math doesn't math. You start running funnel analytics on 136 companies and it gets real tight, real fast. And so what I needed to do was figure out, okay, why was this, and there was a lot of, we were whale hunting. And so we were really focused on like Christie's and the top of the top art galleries, auction houses, Gagosian, Werner, Pace, the top of the top. So like to translate that into like SaaS world, we were like only trying to close Fortune 10 companies. And which is great. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Moby Dick. It's a great book. Let's go after our white whale. And like it really simplifies things when you're only hunting those. But it doesn't build for like a sustainable outbound motion or conversion funnel that works. And so how do I broaden our ICP? A lot of companies you come into, it's like our ICP is every human with a heartbeat. And you're like, cool, let's narrow it down. I was like, let's broaden.
Opposite problem for everybody else.
Yeah, it's like the mirror. I was like, let's broaden it. And so what were the inputs that went into narrowing this down? And one of the things that we found was, okay, we wanted somebody that had a tech resource on staff so they could build the API integration to run our to run our technology through their checkout. Great. Why do we want to do that? Are there shortcuts to do that? Can we, look at in this space, what tech tools are they already using for checkout, i.e. Shopify, WooCommerce, et cetera? And can we build an integration into one of those that then negates the need for, that halved our ICP overnight. Then do we want to go wider or deeper? So do I want to expand the industries we go after? Or do I want to go deeper within the industries that we're going after into instead of shipping $1 million a month, what about 750,000? Instead of shipping, 10,000 items a month, how about if they ship 1,000? And so expanding down, or wide. And I think that the intricacies within the space, we decided we wanted to go deeper, not wider. We'll go wider later, and we can, build integrations into other tools out there, your kind of WooCommerces, et cetera. And so it was like stage by stage, okay, and then building the analytics around, okay, if we do these things, and then we expand into the EU and we expand into Canada, and where all spaces we don't need a language, there's no language barrier. How much can we build our TAM? And so we kind of settled around, the 2,000 to 5,000 companies for a year's worth of work with kind of our funnel analytics was really where we wanted to settle. And so we were able to kind of do the work to figure out how we expand, what product needs do we need to prioritize in order to, be able to serve those customers. And that's the constant balancing act is I could expand my TAM if I did a product, basically tear down and rebuild, but you can't do that. And so what are the expansions that I can do with the least amount of product needs and changes, and with the best return on investment, the quickest close cycles, the least complex sales cycles? How do you kind of factor all of these things into determining where you broaden your TAM? And so we got it to about 2,000 companies have really kind of started. We started that in kind of Q4 of last year. And have seen some really early indications that it's working well.
Great. So lesson learned here is, look, just like how too broad of an ICP doesn't help, the other way when the pendulum moves, when you have 32 companies in your ICP, that doesn't build a scalable business either, right? So let's switch the topic to AI. You have now a couple of thousand of companies to reach out to. We all have been hearing about AI and its impact on sales, marketing, go-to-market in general. Where in the pipeline generation process do you think AI has the best promise? And are you experimenting any tools in that process?
Yeah, we are. We're using some tools that do intent and top of funnel, segmenting or scoring. I think for me in general, where I see AI, and this is probably because I started my sales career without an SDR. I phone in a list and 300 dials by a day, that kind of old school sales atmosphere. I think that for me, AI, where I see AI being helpful is as an assistant versus as a replacement. So how can AI make my day more effective? How can I not do the things that are very low leverage, do the things that are high leverage, and have AI, do the rest? And so, that can be account research, that can be perusing, earnings calls and all the available information to give me tidbits to talk about, to enrich and make my outreach more impactful, both phone, email, LinkedIn, et cetera. Helping us to identify TAM, identifying competitors. There are a lot of things on the front end that it can make smarter, so that I'm not just full blasting people with, very generic emails. And that I'm, leveraging network effects and finding out who knows who and who are, great opportunities to get intros through. So that's where we've used it. And then also insights around, how the team's performing, how the pipeline's performing, how we're converting, where fires are. My general leadership career, you're always kind of like trying to sniff around the business to find the fires, and where is the smoke coming from, and where is the pipeline leaking. And I think there's a lot of AI tools that can kind of save time and identify those things, that can be vigilant or on watch 24/7, and allow me to just focus on solving the problems. But that's where I really see it in terms of helping out now. I don't see it as replacement. I see it as more of a accelerant to my day.
That's great, man. So you're using AI for research, account identification, scoring, and then looking into the pipeline and see if there are any trends in here. That's awesome, man. So you got your ICP, you got your AI working. Now let's give you some budget here. I'm sure you got the budget, and you got the budget to spend this year, and your goal is
to... You got the budget in 2025? With everything going on, I actually have budget?
Just few pennies. That's why, you know what? We named this 100 penny exercise. So you have 100 pennies, and your goal is to use them productively, right? To build a pipeline. You're familiar with this. We have made some tweaks here in the channels, based on what we heard, from our audience as well as our guests last year. So your 100 pennies, all these different ways to generate pipeline. Where will you put your 100 pennies?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm assuming taking them home and buying myself a nice dinner is not an option. So, for me, the buckets that I would really invest in, sales-led growth is important for our product. Yep. Community and partnership-led growth, obviously marketing-led growth, and community and event-led growth. I feel like they're very similar, but if I'm clarifying, I would put pennies in the event, not community-led.
Yep. So I'm just gonna go put 2 pennies to begin with, but feel free to make changes here.
Put 1 penny in partnership, because it's not entirely as important.
Okay.
I would put 1 in customer-led growth.
Customer-led growth is 1, yeah.
And then 1 more in events, and 1 more in marketing.
Marketing. Perfect. Take a look at your investment against your peers on this slide. Alex, when you look at this chart in 2025, where you have a very skewed investment in marketing and events, right? Double click it for audience. Like, why did you decide that you're going to go all in events and marketing versus other areas?
Yeah, I think so. The nice thing about the kind of art space and luxury goods, luxury e-commerce, is that it's kind of behind the curve on a lot of things that's happening in like B2B SaaS. And so, what's nice, especially around tech, so while events have worked for years, I was joking with a friend, I could probably, never spend money on dinner again with all the free dinners going on in New York for, VPs and higher. But that hasn't really happened in our space. And so what we've found is it's working really well for our ICP to, host dinners, salon dinners, networking events in cities. And so that's working really well. And then, top of funnel, investing in, outreach, LinkedIn, Reddit ads, trying to find our buyers where they are in the moment that they need us, search, SEO, intent data, et cetera. And then, what that does is puts, again, to the high leverage, outbound prospecting for my salespeople is great, but it's low leverage. Where I want them focused is converting people who show intent into customers. And so, that they're kind of the closers, so to speak. And I have somebody else going out and, setting up teeing up the ball. And so, that's why, I I like bucking trends, but I'm also in an industry that's a little bit behind some of these trends. So while I think events and dinners have reached saturation in, for example, sales related, technology, I think that I'm still a year out from that happening in my space, which is, I'm fortunate. I get to see what everyone else does and then do it a year later and seem like a genius.
That's awesome, man. Alex, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm sure our team here, as well as our audience, are going to get a lot of nuggets from here. So thank you. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.